I'm Desiree Thompson, Desiree Anella Naomi Thompson. I am Hapa in the stretch of the word Hapa because I'm half Japanese and Kanaka Maoli, Chinese, and a mixture of white. And what brings me here today?
And what brings you here today?
Because it is important that people like us tell our stories. I feel humbled is not the right word. An elder, I'm not an elder yet. I haven't earned my stripes yet to be considered an elder. I think I'm on the younger side of elder, and I don't want to be called a senior. Ancestors, I've heard too. Holy moly. So we're not there yet. I think that I'm in the last third of my life, and I'm looking forward to it.
Did you grow up in a JA community at all?
Yes, because I grew up in Hawaii. So being half Japanese was kind of a good thing, positive thing, because there's some kind of like admiration for, or I don't know, maybe it's that internalized racism that it's better to be not fully Japanese. And
oh, really? Can you tell me about that a little bit? I've never heard that.
I don't even know why, but I felt like I was special. People talked to me in a different way because I wasn't fully Japanese or fully Chinese. But I do feel like I missed out on the Kanaka Maoli part of myself because of the ethnic conflict between the Asians that were brought in as laborers and the native population.
I see.
So even in my own family, my grandfather on my dad's side was very upset about my dad marrying a Japanese woman. I don't think it was a racist thing. I think it was his discomfort with what happened to Hawaii after the plantation
I see. Okay.
economy took over.
Where in Hawaii did you grow up?
I grew up in Honolulu,
In Honolulu.
and my parents are both from Kona.
Oh, I see.
So perhaps that's why they didn't participate in the community, because they're not from Oahu.
I see, sure.
Their community was more on the Big Island.
Did you identify as a Japanese American?
I think it was hard. I'm Yonsei. I don't speak. I don't fully understand. And then on the other side, there wasn't that acceptance. You know, the Hawaiians and the Japanese don't fully accept each other, so there's a little bit of conflict. But also, that made me a little special in Hawaii too, because I'm part Hawaiian.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, your friend groups when you were younger, they mostly consist of Asian Americans, or?
I would say, because I went to private schools, that most of my friends were Asian Americans. In fact, there was only one haole boy in school, in my elementary school. I can remember his name, but I won't say it. And that's pretty significant that I can remember his name, because I might not remember other people's names.
Yes, that is interesting, right? Yeah.
So I wonder what his experience was growing up as the only white boy in a all Asian, I'd say, school, elementary school.
I see.
Then I went to a Baptist middle school, which was interesting, but I didn't grow up Christian, so when I went to Hawaii Baptist Academy, I learned some kind of negative things about Christianity. I think one thing in my young mind was, I remember them saying that if you don't accept Jesus Christ into your life, then you won't go to heaven. And I thought, well, what about the people in Japan who are my distant relatives? They're not going to go to heaven? That really didn't make sense to me and kind of turned me off from Christianity. Except that growing up, quote, American, you kind of default Christian in this country, especially back in the 60s and 70s.
And were, in the time frame of, between when you were born and high school, was there an emerging LGBT awareness on your part?
For sure. I think that, I was thinking about this, gender identity and all that. I think I noticed the difference between girls and boys when my brother was born. So I was 3 years old, and then suddenly he was more special than I was. I mean, simply because he was the baby, but then I started noticing that because he was a boy, you could hear the language. He's a boy, he can do this. Boys can be more adventurous, and girls have to be quiet and obedient. And I was such a tomboy.
Oh, I was going
And
to
I
say,
was
were you a
such-
typical quiet girl?
No,
okay.
I was a tomboy, and I think I was kind of a little precocious. I think I was a little smart, but I wasn't supposed to be. So it's very challenging.
Yeah. So did you have to dumb yourself down?
Maybe more so when I got older, because the boys had to be smarter, and it's like, why? I'm just as smart as you guys. Yeah.
I see. I see.
That was tough. I think my whole life has been shaped around gender identity and trying to be important among males around me. And
I see. So that was really important in high school.
Yes, it always was important.
Okay. And when you got to college, did it stay?
Not as much, I think. I don't think that seemed as important to me at the time. I think I was more concentrating on getting through school. There was not going to be a marriage until I finished college.
Did you want to get married?
I was following the path that was visible to me. Gay life was not visible to me. I went to a Jesuit college, Gonzaga.
And where was that?
In Spokane, Washington.
In Spokane, okay.
And that's where I came upon an anthology on feminism that just completely woke me up.
Really?
And I left Gonzaga to go back to the University of Hawaii, and they had a women's studies program, and that was mind-blowing to me.
Wow.
So I started to study in the women's studies program, and surrounded by all these lesbians that I had no idea. I was so blind.
You had no idea they were lesbian?
No. I was the one in the office who was like, that's that baby dyke who just doesn't know it. And one day she'll find out. So, yes, took me about a year. So I came out in 1977.
Wow.
And my partner described my coming out as like duck to water. I had no identity problems at all. I didn't think about it or moan about whether I'm going to be straight or gay. It's just like, wow, okay, this feels good. I mean, this is who I am, I think. I never felt that way toward any of the boyfriends I had.
I see, okay. So even though back in 77, the culture wasn't exactly that welcoming to gay and lesbian people.
Not at all.
Was it that way in Hawaii?
Yes, and I think I came out with white lesbians.
I see.
So it's easy for them. They had no ties. There were no relatives, no people who might recognize them when one of my girlfriends would move close to me in the car because those bench seats in the Malibu.
Sure.
And it's like, oh no, can you move back? Because somebody's going to see me. Not that I'm famous or anything, but...
Yeah. But were you worried that someone would see you and it would get around then?
Yes. Or maybe not, but even just being seen by that one person would be shameful, I think.
So when you came out, did you come out to like your family and everything?
I think it was, I'm not one of those persons who sat down with my parents and said, I'm lesbian now, or never had those conversations until I got married in 1988. And I wasn't going to invite them to my wedding, but my partner said, what if they want to be here? And what if they're going to miss out? So I indirectly invited them through my brother. And it was kind of a disaster, so I'm glad I used him as a shield.
Yeah.
My mom was very upset.
I see.
Even though she had seen all of my girlfriends up until then.
I see.
So suddenly when it became explicitly known, she was quite upset. And my father supported her. I think, had she not reacted that way, I think he would have been open to it.
And what was it she was upset about?
Oh my, I have have no idea.
Oh, I see, okay.
I mean, it's just so unconventional to her.
Did that sort of create a really rocky relationship?
I think we've always had a rocky relationship.
Oh, I see.
I've never been really close to my mom. I think I was much closer to my dad, and I think if my mom wasn't around, maybe I would have come out to my dad earlier.
I see.
It would have been easier.
Because, did she want a more traditional version?
Definitely, because she was always criticizing me for being so tomboy.
I see.
And encouraging me to go to charm school. I was like, Mom, I'm pretty charming. Put a book on my head, I can walk. I moved in 1987 to the continent, and I never wanted to move for that relationship.
For that relationship, with the woman you married.
Yeah.
Yes. Are you still married to her?
We're in a transition right now.
Okay.
So we've had 30 years together.
Yes.
We're 5 months in a separation.
I
So
see.
yeah,
Okay.
kind of difficult right now, but a little bit better.
Sure. Sure.
I didn't expect it, but this is the way it is.
But you've been together 30 years.
Yeah, yeah. So it was good. I mean,
So how have you changed in those 30 years?
oh my.
Why?
She was quite an activist, and I didn't sit back per se, but I'm more of a quiet person anyway. So I got to see a lot of activity in the community. She's a pretty big name in the community, so everything that was happening in the community, she participated in. It may not mean that I was participating in it, but I was always there in support. So I supported my partner, and through her activism, I made these connections that probably bring me here today.
And you live?
In San Francisco,
Oh,
in the Castro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right in it.
Kind of right in the middle
Totally,
of it.
yeah.
I see, okay. And the Castro's changed over the...
It has so much.
Yeah.
We moved in to the neighborhood in 1989 when it was a up-and-coming neighborhood, and it certainly has arrived. In fact, walking around Los Angeles these past couple of days makes me feel like maybe I should move here. It feels more grounded instead of hipster and such opulence that's outrageous in San Francisco. The most painful parts of coming out?
Coming out or your life afterwards?
Coming out was not difficult at
It
all.
doesn't sound like it, yeah.
No, I think I'm so lucky that Hawai'i woman approached me and made that opportunity available, and I went with it. And maybe the most difficult is, I think moving here was difficult. It took me away from that Hawaii culture, everything that means. I remember when I had boyfriends who wanted to get married and move to Seattle, it's like, oh no, we have to go back to Hawaii. And I was willing to like split up for that reason. But in this case, you know, it's like, okay, I'm gonna have to move to the mainland to be in this relationship. And it was a big deal. So I think this breakup is kind of a big deal. But I'm looking forward to my last third of life, and we'll see. I think there's lots of opportunities to be had. Oh boy, if I was 20 years old now, I would have been a little braver. I think I would have been stronger in my identity as a lesbian.
I see.
Maybe I would have been more vocal, tried to learn to be more vocal and much more of a leader. I think, I think I was very afraid. I think I was very shy as a kid.
I see.
So even coming to this is that little shy remnants are still there, that fear of speaking and telling my story, even though I know that telling my story is important. so that other people can hear this and perhaps take something from it.
So you'd be a little braver.
Yeah, be a
How
little
are you
braver.
brave now?
How am I brave now? I don't know. You know, when Marsha called me, I was still in bed, and I do this meditation in the morning. So when she called and asked me to do this, I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And I was so surprised. I surprised myself to be so agreeable, because normally I'd be like, oh, Marsha, there's no way that I would do this. But I, for some reason, felt very ready to do this, and I'm appreciating this opportunity more than I can say.
Well, we appreciate it too, because I mean, it's clear that it is you stepping out of your comfort zone somewhere, and that's such a courageous thing to do.
Had I gotten married to a man? I'm not sure. I think my last boyfriend was really a nice guy. He was a very, very wonderful person. And it coincided with me coming out, so I had to make a choice, and actually, there was no choice. Sorry for him, but I think I'm a much happier person for coming out. Yeah, I can't imagine, I don't know, maybe I would have been okay as a married woman with children living the heteronormative life, but perhaps there'd be something missing. True love, maybe. I think the challenges were much greater. I think even just practical things like having a job and not having spousal benefits made us, we had to make strategic decisions for financial security for our future. And the change in marriage laws really made a difference in terms of, look, I was a federal employee, and now my partner gets benefits that she wouldn't have gotten had that not gone through. And we had prepared all that time by buying more insurance and all the things that straight couples don't have to do to prepare. I think I was dismayed when I read one of the retirement booklets about how even if you're a divorcee, you are entitled to retirement benefits unless you sign those rights away. So, you know, for me to be with somebody for 30 years and she would have not gotten any rights, and you're a divorcee and you get rights, that's terrible. So I'm not sure marriage was the best way to organize, but unfortunately that's how the country kind of understands or got to understand the love that we have for each other. Same-sex love, they might not understand that, but that everyone should get married and have the right to made sense to them. I think it was something tangible for them to understand. I think we don't have any answers in terms of, you know, looking ahead, but you just keep going. I think I'm in this place where I'm in this unknown space right now. And sometimes I'm afraid, but it doesn't matter because it's going to be okay.
You've really persevered through a lot of life. You really, really have.
I didn't want to do this on
It's
camera.
Okay. You're being your authentic self.
Right.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah. So even at this age, things are a struggle, but it all works out in the end.
You have the strength to get through
Right.
it.
Right. And the support from everyone. So, yeah, that's the best.
Absolutely.
Having community.
Thank you so much for doing this. We really
Yeah,
appreciate
thank you.
it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.